For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Happy Pride, everybody. The Pride Biz Showcase continues. All month we have been talking with LGBTQRST plus 2479 entrepreneurs. I'm already going to get hate mail. I'm going to get hate mail about being homophobic. Yes, the biggest gay guy in the room is going to get hate mail for being homophobic or biphobic or lesphobic or transphobic or two-phobic or whatever. You know what? Let's just have a good time. If you've been listening to this show for however many years we've been doing it, if you're uptight, you definitely do not want to listen to this. If you've got to stick up your ass, you're the wrong audience. So click off right now, unsubscribe, block us, don't tweet us, leave it alone. I'm off to a good start. First minute of the show and I'm telling people to leave. There we go. But anyway, it's one of those days. I'm happy it's Friday. Happy Father's Day to all the daddies out there. We're already on a downward slope. Where are we now? Not even quite a minute and a half into the show, ladies and gentlemen. But again, yes, in all seriousness, happy Father's Day. I hope you bought your dad something very expensive. Actually, and if you haven't, you know what? Buff Boy Brewing Company has some great blends and roasts from internet. Hold on, let me get this right. Bring up the right screen, you guys. Here we go. If you need your daily or hourly fix of fresh flavored coffee, check out Buff Boy Brewing Company for unique blends from around the world, international tastes with the finest roasts at buffboybrewing.com. Buff Boy Brewing has been our sponsor for the past few episodes, and they're our official Pride Biz Showcase sponsor. So check them out, buffboybrewing.com. And if you're into half-naked men with muscles and drinking coffee, then it's definitely the pages to follow, I will tell you that. And I don't drink coffee, but it smells very good, I can tell you that. We do have some in our house. Buff Boy Brewing coffee smells wonderful. Now, it smells like it's going to be a good show today. And we're going to be talking with an artist who really took a hobby and turned it into a passion project, a passion business. And there's so many people, as you've seen on social media, who create, whether it's by painting, right, drawing, actual art, traditional art as we know it, or singing, or, right, some kind of music, or books, like I wrote, I started writing books over 10 years ago now. Everybody's trying to land an audience, and then, of course, if they're true entrepreneurs and business people, make money from it as well, right? Some people just write for the hobby and just kind of want to put it out there. Great. We're talking business. We're talking about how to make money. And Brandy Mars Designs is a Vancouver-based operation fronted by, get this, Brandy Mars. And we're going to be talking with Brandy in the next couple of minutes. And then at the end of the show, as I have been doing during this series, I'm going to talk about my own experience, my own thoughts as it relates to our guest today. So Brandy is, a writer, a painter, a drawer, a creator, just, an incredible creative talent. And I'm going to share some of my experiences after and talk about how I kind of overcame those objections. Because when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, it's one thing to have, let's say, okay, I want to design clothing. I want to be a fashion designer. Well, that's already kind of been carved out already by a lot of other people, so you can kind of figure that out. When I wrote my first book, I had absolutely no idea about book publishing. I didn't know. I just thought, okay, well, I can go to the store manager at Walmart and say, okay, here, would you like to buy my book and then put it in your store? That is not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. It does not. And so with Brandy's designs, you have to just check it out even as you're listening to this. Look up Google Brandy Mars Designs. That you have to look at this and go, you figured out how to take, painting, drawing, whatever, and make it profitable, make money from it. Now, it did take a few years, as Brandy will tell us in just a little while. But again, it's that not giving up. It's that persistence, that struggle to make it. And I'm always interested in talking with content creators as to what their motivations are, how they keep going, because I know I had my setbacks early on, and I think I mentioned this on one of the other shows. My motivation was, I got to pay for my house and I've got to feed my dog. So those are two pretty big factors that came into play in my life. But what if you're an entrepreneur who has children, or you have to take that job on the side and do this passion project in the middle of the night or on weekends, or when you wake up in the morning, or when you get home from work, or if you're on the bus coming home from work, you're sitting there and writing or drawing or sketching, whatever you're doing. So I'm fascinated to hear Brandy's story, and we're going to get to that actually right after this break, because it's on the Scribble, our Pride Biz Showcase, brought to you by buffboybrewing.com.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more. Rest assured, Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How do you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
I have absolutely no style, we all know this, but there is definitely something for everyone at Brandy Mars Designs. And I'm told now, I think I just heard a giggle. Do we have the one and only Brandy Mars on the line? Are you there, Brandy? Is this right?
I am here. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, happy Pride to you. I should start out by saying that.
And to you as well.
Thank you. And Vancouver Pride, I have never had the opportunity, but I started out on the radio in Vancouver many years ago. I've never been to Pride in Vancouver. So tell me, what is your favorite part of Pride?
I actually have taken and had a booth for a couple of years, so I really, really love meeting everyone in person. And now I do a lot more painting, but back when I first started my company about 7 years ago, I did mostly funny cards. So I really loved people coming up to the table and bursting and laughing, and then just really meeting people in real life, which I'm looking forward to doing again this year.
It's long overdue. So let's talk about the business then, because you started out with art and greeting cards, and now, like I said, you really do have something for everyone. So take me through that evolution, and how did one thing turn into the next, turn into the next, turn into the next?
Well, when I first came out, I started a blog, which was really scary. I was like, oh my gosh, the first time I ever posted, I was like, I'm going to be sick. But anyways, it got really popular, and then I kind of stopped writing, and then eventually all of my funniest blogs sort of turned into my first greeting cards. So that was on Etsy, and then I had my business on Etsy for maybe, 4 or 5 years, and then I really wanted to be more independent, so I've moved it now to brandymarsdesigns.com, and it's kind of evolved into I used to have more minimal style art. Now I have more, it's more paintery, it's all paint, but yeah.
And so your creations are modeled after your sense of humor, as we all can sense already. I imagine you have a lot of fun with that. Now, social media gives you that opportunity to not only express your personality more, right? I think that that's something that a lot of the businesses, the big corporations, they don't have that brand personality just because they have to be so corporate. Yes, they might try to come across as fun, but when you're doing what you do, it's social media that you said meeting people in person and doing that, but social media must be so much fun for you.
Yeah, it is. And I think also I think it's an important part of my art, because my art is me. So I am kind of goofy, and so I like I've always really loved making people laugh, and even though now I don't make as many like cards with like verbiage cards, but like still I think that also like people connect with who you are, and so yeah. Anyways, I hope that makes sense.
What in your mind made you say, I can make a business out of it. I can make money doing this? Because I know people who paint and it's just a hobby. It's just something for fun. What made you go and say, I'm going to turn this into a business though?
Well, I really wasn't making any profit for a long time. I would say like 5 years of the 7 years I made nothing or lost money. So it wasn't really about that. I think like now it's like actually kind of functioning more like a business, but I still have a regular job. But I don't know. I think it's fun, and that's why I do it more than anything, and it gives me like a sense of community. Because I think like being super femme, I didn't always feel like I had like such a connection. Like, I don't know. It really helps me feel connected to the community.
Take me through those 5 years, because this is one of those things that, you know, on our radio shows, we've had, you know, the people from Shark Tank, and we've had from Dragon's Den, you know, all the experts, the millionaires and billionaires have been on the show. And so one of the things that I ask them, and we've even had some of the pitches from the show, some of the people who've appeared on the show, and there's always that sort of tipping point of, when do you throw in the towel? When do you go and say, I'm just not going to, this just isn't going to work? I mean, 5 years is a long time, but I mean, obviously if art is your passion, I imagine that's what would keep you going. But what are you telling yourself in that 5 year period though?
There have been some really hard times, honestly. I mean, more than anything, I think the thing that made me want to quit the most is just all of the censoring. And like, I do have a few pieces that are like more evocative, but I think most of my art is just really intimate. And so it used to really upset me when my stuff would get taken down, and I've had like fights on pretty much every single social media platform with them, just being like, why are you taking down my fully clothed, like they're just laying in a field stargazing or something. I'm like, why are you taking down my stuff? So there were times I want to quit, but then it's like, it almost makes me more, like, first I want to quit, and then I'm like, no, now I have even more conviction.
Right. You want to stick it to them. I mean, but that's one of the good things though about social media is that you have that fan base, that following that is just as outraged as you are when something like that happens, right? When I've seen that a lot, where businesses will go and say, oh, we've been blocked again, or people will post the screenshot that they call, it's a Facebook jail, I think it's called, or whatever, and then you just kind of see the comments pile on, where it's like, that actually gets you even more support from people. So like you said, it's almost sort of motivating you more. That makes your people, your fans, your followers, your friends, whatever they're called, it makes them love you and support you even more. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think I ever really started speaking out about my problems with them taking down my stuff for a long, long time, because it's not really my nature. I'm kind of like, just go with the flow. So I would just be like super annoyed and then be like, okay, just let it go. But then kind of recently, there's just a lot of stuff out there of like hetero couples that I find really kind of offensive. Like it's like violent or whatever, and I'm like, why is this up and I can't have my art up? But anyways, like I think the thing that keeps me going the most is that I get a lot of emails from people who are like, your art helps me come out, or your art like because I'm like, a lot of girls who are like super feminine who are like, oh, I like saw myself in your art, or like, I don't know, it just, those kind of emails, or like families that write me and they're like, wow, your book was so beautiful, it made me cry, and like it helped me talk to my kids about these different things. And so that kind of stuff is like so much more powerful than like them taking down my post and like whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, so there is the good thing about social media is that you do get that. I imagine, you know, when people receive their order, you know, whatever their purchase from you, that they're, you know, then they tweet you or they tag you. I mean, that's basically somebody selling your product to their, I mean, it's free advertising. So, you know, to get that notification that you're tagged in a post also just must be, wow, okay, there we go. Boom, free advertising.
Yeah, I guess so. But like more than that, it's just like the connection. And I think that's the whole point of art, is really like connecting to people, and it's about community and connection and all of that. So it's like, it is nice for the advertising, but it just makes me feel like, it makes me feel seen, and like I feel like they feel seen with my art.
Right. Now, art is very subjective. You know that, better than anybody, because you've had to experience it with the ups and downs. And I mean, I've been a writer for so long with, a book, a newspaper column, whatever. So I have, over the years, developed this I don't give a crap if you hate me sort of attitude with art. I mean, again, now with what you're selling, when you're at a Pride event or something, you're face to face with somebody. So that's different than somebody rejecting your art, your passion right there, right? If I just get an email, I'm kind of like, well, delete. I mean, how have you developed a thick skin though? Or do you let it bother you? Do you not let it bother you?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that over the years, I have started to care less and less. Which is probably apparent from my, like, funny videos, because, like, some of them are just totally ridiculous. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm, like, a full-on adult. I can be as ridiculous and silly and fun and gay as I would like.
And I had a conversation a few weeks ago with a friend, and she's very concerned that, well, somebody doesn't like me, and I'm just thinking, who cares? Like, what is that even? Move on. I mean, you're putting more emphasis on this than that person is. So forget it. Move on. Like, focus your attention somewhere else. Like, I've never understood that. And I think that as an entrepreneur, and again, somebody who's in art, you just have to I don't know what the answer is. I guess that's why I'm sort of asking as many artists as I can, because I'm just like, I don't know what the magic I don't lose sleep at night. If somebody didn't like my book or they don't like what I wrote in the newspaper, I should just shrug my shoulders and sort of carry on with my day. And I've always kind of been like that. So that's, I guess, where I'm always wondering is, when did it start for you? Was there a moment that you kind of just said, I'm not going to let this hurt me anymore?
Yeah, I think just, like, facing, I think just, like, over time, like, with age, you just, like, care less and less, and, I think, like, when it first came out, it was like, I'm gonna shave part of my head off, or I'm gonna, like, do this to try to fit in, and then, like, the older I get, I'm more like, no, I'm gonna, like, wear this pink dress, I don't care if I don't look, like, quote, don't look gay, or whatever, or, like, people don't like pink, and I make pink art. It's like, whatever, I'm making what makes me happy, and it's like, I think the only art that is good art to me that I make is, like, art that is, like, really true to what I'm going through and who I am and stuff, and, like, that is what people connect to the most. Like, all my best-selling art is stuff that's, like, really, really heartfelt, and, like, so I think that in order to make good art, I, like, have to be true to who I am.
So as an artist yourself, when you're needing inspiration, motivation, you want to appreciate somebody else's craft, where do you go? What do you do? What do you like?
Oh, yeah, I like going to, like, art shows, and then especially when I was younger, like, I went to LA. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, but I went to LA when I was 18, and the drinking age there is, like, way higher than here, so, like, I couldn't really get into clubs and stuff, and I am, like, super artsy. I took, like, advanced art in high school, and yeah, I just spent, like, all my time, like, drawing and painting and sewing too. And anyways, when I was in LA, I went to just a ton of museums. Like, I think I went to every museum there, like, many, many times. So I think I like love looking at things up close and, like, just seeing, like, how people convey emotion and texture, and, like I really love Art Nouveau. I like Art Deco too, but, like, I grew up, like, with people who really appreciate Art Nouveau, so I find that and also, like, nature really inspiring.
I know you also you enjoy a good Pride festival, and so you have some big dreams. I mean, if I can say this, you get around. You get around. Is that right?
Yeah. So before COVID, I did do a lot of shows. I did, like, the art shows, and I did lots of Pride events, and then I did, like, the East Van Dyke March festival, which I think was my favorite one because it's really, like, the demographic that I sell to, and, like, oh, it's so fun. And my dream actually is, especially now that COVID is maybe, like, I don't know what's happening, if it's going to keep, like, right now there's no mask mandate and everything, but I would like to take a year and then just, like, go worldwide or, like, across Canada and just go to, like, every single Pride event and take my art, and I think that would be, like, that's the dream.
Absolutely. And, what's also really great to see is that, yes, it's called Pride Month. We're in June right now, everybody. We all know that. And that it's not just Pride Month, because I know Pride in Vancouver is often around my birthday, August long weekend. And it's become almost the entire summer season. So it's not a month anymore. People are celebrating Pride the entire summer, which I think is so cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, Pride is all the time, so...
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing, too, is, like, when you're gay, you're, like, always coming out, especially if you don't, like, quote, look gay. So it's, like, Pride Month is Pride life.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, because you've mentioned it a couple times now, the coming out or looking like a certain way, a stereotype, cookie cutter kind of feel. I mean, what sort of pressures did you feel, just personally, not on a business level, about coming out and being who you are and accepting who you are and not being scared to be you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to be in fashion design, and I did that for about a decade. And in that culture, like, it's actually amazing how much things have changed. But at the time, like, I was in, like, a lot of environments that weren't really, like, lesbian-friendly environments. And it's different. If you're, like, a gay guy, it's, like, you're good there. But it's not really, like, there were so many derogatory things said about lesbians. And I was just like, oh, my God, I can't come out. And I secretly had, like, girlfriends for years and years and years. And is it called a beard? I don't know. Anyways, like, fake boyfriends and all this stuff. So it's like, eventually I left, and I was like that job and everything. And when I went to another one, this is so sad kind of in hindsight, but I, like, waited till I was through probation. And that's not on that company. That's just, like, the fear of like, the repercussions on this career that, like, I worked so hard for my career to get to where I was at that point, like, and having, like, quite a bit of seniority and everything. And anyway, so it was, like, really scary to come out. And then, like, now I'm in a totally different field. Like, now I do costumes in the movies. So, like, that is a totally different thing. Like, there's so many gay women in film, and especially in costumes, which is so cool and, like, surprising. I didn't really know that back in the day. And that's not why I switched either. It had to do with other things. But, like, anyways, I think that, like, also, like, just coming out and, like, leaving that industry and not caring anymore.
I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, yeah, I guess if you're just around it and it becomes just natural, it's second nature, you just don't even blink an eye. I mean, let me tell everybody, I mean, anybody who's listened to me on the radio for, 15, 16 years, that the entertainment world is gay. Let me just put it out there if you haven't heard that. I don't know. I mean, this, we're laughing, but I mean, there's so many generalizations and stereotypes. But I mean, I can tell you fact-based when it comes to, publicity, or as you're talking about, hair, makeup, costume design. I mean, I would say there's a large percentage of the men that are kind of gay in this industry. And that's great. And I love that now people are so comfortable to come out and say that, because it's not a bad thing, at least in this industry. Obviously, there's a lot of progress to come for many other people in certain cultures and areas of the world, which is sad, of course, but we're just inching forward, and we just need to move it faster, I would think. What are your thoughts?
Oh, totally. And also I would, like, encourage people to just find good environments, like when I moved and the new company that I went to, like, I could tell when I went for an interview that, like, they were very inclusive, and I was like, this isn't really the location that I expected to end up in, but I was like, this company is so cool, so, like, accepting and stuff. So, like, I would encourage people to, like, if you are in a bad environment, like, leave.
Yeah.
Like, go, because it's a big world, and, like, you deserve to be happy and be, like, somewhere that you feel safe and accepted, and, like, you can be like, yeah, my wife, whatever, girlfriend, or partner, and, yeah. So life is short.
Well, and but that's exactly it, right? I mean, I think it's one thing for companies to jump on the bandwagon and say, yes, we're inclusive. Yes, we do diversity. Yes, we do that. It's another thing to actually make that happen and live that, because your employees very quickly will tell you, you're just all talk. You're not making this happen. And that, I think, I mean, I'm not going to say that it would destroy a company. It would certainly destroy reputation amongst the employment sector, but, people aren't going to put up with it anymore. And that's where maybe it's the corona thing that kind of everybody, reassessed where they work, what they do. that just sort of made people put that foot down and say, I'm going to be treated respectfully. I'm going to be allowed to be me at this job.
Oh, totally. Yeah, for sure. And there are lots of good companies, and yeah, I really strongly encourage people to like really be themselves.
Let me ask you what advice you would have then for maybe an aspiring artist. We talked about people in school, that it's being taken away from a lot of kids, the whole aspect of art and the appreciation of it. What should, maybe I like painting, or maybe I like cutting up construction paper and just making weird, I don't know, whatever. I mean, what would you tell me then to pursue that passion? How would you encourage me? Where should I start? What should I do to put myself out there?
I would just say, like, make art every day. Like, sometimes people ask me, like, how did you, like, get to, like, I don't know, I don't want to say, oh, I'm so great, but, like, like, people are like, how did you, whatever, and it's like, I made a lot of crap. Oh, can I say that word on the radio? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, why not?
So, like, it's like I make something amazing, then I make a bunch of, like, I mean, I don't even know if I really believe in bad art, but, like, I make a bunch of stuff, or, like, I go through, like, a phase of, like, making a whole bunch of, like, I don't know, I feel like I just made something good, like, a couple days ago, but, like, before that I had, like, all this stuff where it's, like, the face is good and the body's a big mess or whatever, and so it's, like, just keep making stuff, like, all the time, and learn, and, like, take out books, go to the library. Like, there are lots of resources, too, if your classes are, like, being cut from your schools. Like, I would strongly encourage you to, like, learn on YouTube, take classes, like, online if you can afford them. There are probably, like, some free ones that you could pick up, but also just, like, books. Like, sometimes I go to the library and I just take out, like, 2 massive bags of books.
Mm-hmm. I think
section.
One of the things that we sort of talked about already, which was the negativity and overcoming the setbacks and the rejection or what have you. I mean, something that I found for myself, and again, also tying in with what I said about not caring what people think about me, is telling yourself, I'm great. Like this, I have talent. And I think that people mistake that as being, cocky or having an ego, which it can lead to that, obviously. But that's the thing, though, is, hey, this is good. Even though my neighbor might not like it, or the people on the internet might not like it, it was good enough for me. And that's, I think, the starting point when you're creating something. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, like, yeah, I think it's good to, like, know that you have talent, but to also be, like, humble, because there's so much to learn, always. Like, I'm always getting better, and also, like, no one is going to make this exact same, you can give everyone, like, the exact same paint, the exact same brushes. Like, your art is you, so it's, like, I don't know, don't be so hard on yourself, and just, like, make things that make you happy, and, like, keep going, and, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the fear that people have, is that they feel that it's going to cost, it's going to cost a lot of money to start making money. And, we see people all the time that are maybe set up outside, in the field during a festival, just kind of selling their, bracelets or something they made. You don't have to necessarily do expensive advertising or big Facebook campaigns. There's a way to make money just if you've been drawing pictures. I mean, take a picture and post it on Facebook and just ask if anybody wants to buy it. I mean, there's just so many simple ways that you can kind of get the ball rolling.
Oh, totally. And I think, like, one of the key aspects to how I built this business, which I feel like it's pretty big now, is that it's, like, all I do. Like, people are like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, this is what I do it's a business, but it's like, I literally spend my entire free time doing this. Like, I have friends, so we do hang out, but, like, this is all, I sleep, breathe, eat. This company is everything that I do. So, if you just put in the effort, which I think only will happen if you're really passionate about it, and, like, that's what I tell people when they're like, I want to start a business. I'm like, whatever you pick, totally awesome, cool, but just make sure that it's something where you're like, I just can't even live if I don't do this. Like, I love it so much, and I feel like I could just talk about it for hours, like, or do it for, like, 16 hours a day, but it doesn't even, like, feel like a job, because it just is what I do.
I mean, that's absolutely the benefit of it. When you think about the people who are just sitting and watching the clock and going, oh, it's 4:30, I can't wait to get out of here. And then, they go home and then they're just miserable on the way home. And then something like what you're talking about. I mean, I know, writing a book years ago that it was, I was in Winnipeg, it was the winter, it was freezing. The entire weekend, there was just a big blizzard. It was crazy. And on a Saturday night, I just had my laptop and I'm hammering out, 5-6 chapters of a book. And people were, oh, so what'd you do this weekend? I wrote a book. And they're like, okay, wait a second. What, you wrote a book? What are you talking about? Didn't you go out? Didn't you do anything? No, because as you were just talking about, Brandy, it's one of those things where I like doing it. It's a hobby. I'm going to end up eventually making money because I always had that sort of mindset. That was why I was writing it. And I'm just going to do that. I mean, better than going to a bar and blowing a couple $100 on the weekend. I'll express my creativity and be productive. So that's the way I always looked at it. I think that's kind of what you were just describing as well. You're going to do it whenever. If it's morning, if it's the weekend, if you're on holidays, it's whenever the mood strikes you.
Yeah, and like art is really cathartic to me. So it's like I have to make art. Like sometimes if I don't make anything for like a week or two, I'm like not feeling okay. Like it's so weird. It's like, even though it's not always directly like what I'm going through, but I just find it like, yeah, cathartic. It's nice. And I don't remember what I was gonna say anyway.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you're loving what you do. So whether the money is coming in 6 figures or 4 figures or nothing at all, you would still be doing it, I imagine.
Oh yeah, totally. And like, I guess the other thing too is that I don't really have hours for this business especially because I remember reading this like quote about Bob Dylan where he was like, I only record things at night because that's like, you can't make anything good during the day. And I'm like, that is so hilarious because I feel like all of my best paintings I've made at like 5, 6 in the morning. Like I have a really weird internal clock, and I think it's just like the calmness of night. Like it really helps me like focus, and I make really good stuff if I'm up really late.
Tell me about that atmosphere, that environment that you do your best creating in. Is it dark? Is there music? Is there some sort of scent, fragrance? Is there, are you wearing slippers and something comfy? Take me through the process.
It just needs to be like night. It needs to, like, I feel like I only start making art like usually at like 9 at night, and also it's weird. It's kind of like I have to do things when I feel inspired and when it feels like right. Otherwise, it's just not good. Like I can't like force myself to do something, especially if it's a commission or something like that. It needs to be like energetically, I have to feel inspired.
Absolutely, and that's something that people don't realize. I remember when I was in journalism school, we were on one floor of the building, and then the graphic designers were on another. They were always there. Our building was open 24 hours. They were there middle of the night. We always joked that they sleep upside down, that they don't. But the graphic designers would work through the night. They were not morning people. And then when I finally started our company and doing that, I said, I'm not having a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not even showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm just not. And we're not having a meeting even before 9 o'clock in the morning. And you're not scheduling. I don't care what time, Joy Behar from The View wants to talk. We're not talking before 10 a.m. I'm just not doing it. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's not a light switch. People, I think, believe that, oh, you're a writer? Okay, flick the switch and start writing. That's not how it works, people. That is not how it works. Brandy, am I right?
Yes, very, very much. Like I wrote and illustrated this kid's book, and I was so into it. And I feel like given like the reaction to it when it came out, and like how much I love like the result of everything, like I felt like it didn't take that much time because I was like obsessed. Like I get really into things where I'm like, I don't care if I look like so like my hair is wild, whatever. Like I'm just like I'm so into this book and like finishing these illustrations and like really like I don't know, like I have to do it.
So we've teased everybody enough. The best question now, as we wrap this up, is where can people check out your shop?
So if you go to www.brandymarsdesigns.com, and it's Brandy with a Y and then Mars like the planet.
Let me spell it. BRANDYMARS, right?
Yes.
There you go. And designs. Well, the iconic, the official Brandy Mars from Brandy Mars Designs in Vancouver. Thank you for joining me. It's been great chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you too. Thank you for having me.
Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. My thanks to Brandy Mars for joining us and sharing that insight. I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm always fascinated to hear the stories of fellow entrepreneurs, especially in different arenas, different areas, right? We've talked about, the adult pleasure industry in the first episode, and then we talked about liquor getting boozed up in the next one, and now we've got an artist. My background, just if this is your first time listening to the show, I have been a broadcaster on the radio for 16 years. I've been a newspaper columnist for 19 years and a best-selling author. Now, it's funny, too, because when you say best-selling author, suddenly people who want to attack you on social media will try to discredit you by going and saying, I've never heard of your books, I've never heard of you. And you always want to just, first of all, I don't engage in something like that, but you also want to challenge them and say, I'm sorry, so you've heard of every single best-selling author in the world? Really, bitch? Really? 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 And so I don't take it personally because I also have, if I want to be a dick, I will actually. I'm busting myself in a lie. Depending on how I'm feeling, right? It's usually always during the Bachelor or Bachelorette tweeting, because that's when I'm paid to slut shame and mock the cast of that show. And so then what you'll have is these people, TV viewers, who really enjoy the show and feel that it's all about love and they're rooting for, the star of that season. And I'm there to just be real with the rest of the viewers. And it's like, this is all a load of crap, right? We want to see the drama. And that's why people are going on the show. And so what you have then is people who will fire back at you, and they'll call you out that, you're a chauvinist, you're blah, blah, blah. And then they'll read my Twitter bio and it says best-selling author. Oh, your book only has this many reviews on Amazon, blah, blah, blah. Well, great. You know what? We don't make all of our money from Amazon. We actually make it through our website, where we don't take a cut of the sale. We basically get the entire sale, right? So it's, there's different things where you want to go and say, yeah, because we're good business people, where we have the direct line of communication with our customers and we sell it direct to them. So, but again, like I said, it depends if I'm in a mood or not. And so, My elementary school, Faraday School in Winnipeg, is celebrating its 100th anniversary. And my mom, by the way, worked at the school for 30-some years. From the time that I was in, I could say I was in grade 3 or 4 when she came to the school. She was at an elementary school prior to Faraday School. When my brothers, maybe it was just me there already at that time. I have 2 older brothers. And so anyway, we all went to the same school, and I remember my mom working there. But of course, I was a goody two-shoes in elementary school. And that was when I started to express my creativity, right? I started to do, I was in all the school musicals. I loved singing. So, I mean, whenever we did Christmas caroling, I think you can't call it that now. I think it's got to be the winter carols or winter songs. I went to school when people weren't uptight about everything. And so it was fascinating because there was an open house at the school, and I was kind of like, well, this could be interesting because it's been, more than 30 years since I went to school there. Are any of my teachers going to show up? My mom was one of the people who was kind of helping organize it. She just retired from the school about a year. Well, I guess it'll be 2 years now. But anyway, I was kind of like, are any of my former classmates going to be there? Because it's one thing, it's not a school reunion. I want to make that clear. That's not what this was. But I went through my Facebook and I was like, okay, well, let me see how many of these people I actually went to elementary school with, not high school, elementary, when we were like under 10 years old. There were only a couple of them because we ended up going through a school together right up until we graduated high school, right? So a couple of them. And so I was like, are any of them going to show up? Because you have to remember how many graduating classes there have been over the past, since I was there more than 30 years ago. And there were quite a few people. It's also interesting to see how some people honestly they've changed in the way they look. 30 years, you're going to change, at least a little bit. But to just go and see, like, wow, I still see your face from 30 years ago, if that makes sense. And then with some of my teachers, now again, my mom's still been in touch with a lot of them from when I was a student there anyway. So I know about, Mrs. Burnett or whoever. Several of them have died, of course. But it was kind of like, oh, I wonder if so-and-so is going to be there. I wonder if I'm going to... And then it's kind of weird because I was wanting to do selfies with them. Like, and again, like I said, because my mom is still in touch with a lot of them, they know what I've been doing all this time, right? They know that I've done the radio shows. They know that I've covered Hollywood red carpets. They know, things like that. But to actually kind of come face to face, and then it's just strange too because I'm wanting to call her Mrs. Burnett still, even though her name is Brenda, and I know that. It's strange. I'm going to be turning 40 very soon, and here I am talking to this woman who I don't even know how old she is, 60, 70 maybe. I'm still saying Mrs. Burnett because that's just... Right? Is that weird? So when you went to a school reunion, like I said, this was not a reunion, but when you went to a high school reunion, whatever... and you met up with your old teachers, were you calling them by their first name, or did that just seem strange as an adult? Again, I'm 40, and I'm still calling them, Mrs. Gusberty, Mrs. Burnett, Mr. Brett. Like, I couldn't do it. And then even weirder is that I'm standing there with my mom, who's, 60-some years old herself, and, then my mom is referring to them as, oh, yes, I was telling Mrs. Burnett that, whatever. So it's just that weird, like, ooh, okay, I just felt strange about that. So anyway, it was great to see a couple of them and just to kind of get those updates because, when you're in elementary school, you don't necessarily know what career path you want, right? I mean, you might know that you like acting or singing or dancing or whatever it might be, and you get to do that in the school plays, and that's one thing. And so it's kind of cool to go... what I started to do was I kind of played a game with myself when I saw them and I'm talking to them. Of course, I'm listening to them, and and I've been in the newspaper and in the media in my city for many years. So people, generally people do recognize me if they've met me before. Oh, he's that guy from whatever. Oh, I went to school with him. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to figure out what career path these people have gone. So when I'm thinking, okay, I remember this guy Steven from my grade 2 class, he was kind of the blah, 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 blah. So I'm guessing that he got into construction because he just kind of seemed like the type of guy who would be handy and build things and whatever. So I started to do that. I was wrong on every account. So it's not that I was judging strangers. I mean, I guess they were 30 years later. I was judging people who, based on what I remember from them being in school, their personality traits, their hobbies, their skills, their whatever, what did they end up becoming? There was the guy who was, great at the math nerd. Well, okay, did he get into accounting? Did he get into investing? What did he do, right? No, he ended up getting into such and such. So I ended up making it a good time for myself. So All right, so enough about that. Shout out to my school. Great seeing everybody there again. Now, when it comes to that creativity, though, as Brandy was talking about, one of the things that I've always maintained as a writer was I own everything. So when I'm writing something, even if it's for a newspaper, I still own it. I'm not selling. So we might have a contract, a deal, whatever it is. Somewhere in that contract, somewhere in our deal, it says Jeremy retains the rights to this. So that at some point, and actually this is kind of what happened with my Cheapskate book, was that I had a deal with a marketing company. Well, it was a payday loan company, if we're going to be specific, back well over 10 years ago, maybe 13, 14 years ago. I was writing money-saving articles for them. And so one of the things that I said right when I took that role was, I'm giving you the rights to use it, whatever, but I still own it. So when I leave here, I can do whatever I want with this stuff. I'll write your little blogs, whatever they're called, articles, columns, whatever, but I still own this. So if I want to reuse it, if I want to repurpose it, use it on another platform, it's mine, I can do that. And so I think we saw something similar with Taylor Swift. You know that she didn't have the rights to her music and, whatever. That was sort of... Well, that happened well after I put my foot down, but that was something that I just kind of said. I remember taking a writing job many years ago and basically said that everything that you create is ours and we keep it. And I was like, nah, I mean, yes, you're paying me to do the job, but I don't accept that. I need to have some sort of, freedom if I'm doing this, if it's my talents. And I just always kind of felt that way. And that's where, people can then go and say, well, what about a graphic designer who draws this or a carpenter? It's like, well, I'm going to own the rights to it. Well, it's a little bit different when it's a physical object like that you can walk out of the building and steal, right? When it comes to your intellectual property, that's a little bit different. And so that was something that I always made sure of. So I would say to somebody who's in the Brandy situation, when you're creating things, whatever, if you sell it, if you're selling a painting, that's a different story. But if you write an article, if you write a book, if you do this, license it, make sure that you get that money, but you still own it. You still retain the rights to it because it's yours. It's your baby. And that would be my one piece of advice for somebody is, don't get screwed like Taylor Swift and then have to go through, legal battles and it costs you and somebody else is going to make, because it's at the end of the day, it's your talent. That was why, and I think I might have explained this on one of the other previous episodes, is that when it came to writing the book and publishing it, I didn't want to go through a book publisher because that process, at the end of it all, it's the author who's probably making the least amount of money. And we broke this down one time with my accountant and one of my business partners. We looked at it. Now, the average paperback was selling for about $15 when we put out one of our books before. And so we did the math, and I'm going to just give Walmart as an example, or Costco as an example, one of the big box stores anyway. They will buy that book from you, a publisher, at a 40 or 50% discount, maybe even 60% if they really want to stick it to you. So that $15 is now cut in half. Let's say they want 50%, right? So you are now maybe pulling in $7.50 from that. And if you have a book deal with a publisher and a literary agent and this and that, right? Everybody is now taking their cut of your book. And so your literary agent maybe is getting 10%, 15, 20, whatever your deal was. And the book publisher, they're going to want to make almost the most money in the deal as well. So you're chipping away at that $7.50, right? So like I said, the $15 book that you're selling to Walmart for $7.50. Now your book publisher, they're going to want at least half of that, right? Because that was their paper, that was their editors, that was their cover design, that was their everything. So they want a big chunk of that $7.50. Your literary agent is going to want a couple bucks out of that. And so when you chip away at it, the math that we were doing was that the author was making approximately anywhere between 60 cents and maybe $2 for a book. And so when we factored all that in, I kind of said, we can do this ourselves. And everybody would say, you know what, you need a literary agent to get your foot in the door at a publisher, and that publisher already has the in at Walmart and, Costco or whatever. So that's something that you need. It's not a process that you can jump and skip ahead and go and do it. Well, wouldn't you know it, sure as shit, JB went and did it. And yes, we were able to get our books in Walmart and Costco, but we were getting that closer to that $7 profit then because we didn't have the publisher and the literary agent taking their cut, right? So from there, then we created a website, speakfreebooks.com, which I don't think that we have anymore, but we had that direct-to-consumer website where we had the books printed, and we were shipping them out, and we had all of the profits at that point, right? So that's where I would say that as well is everybody wants to, who sells a product wants to be on Amazon, wants to be on all those other platforms. Have the platform for yourself. You sell direct to the consumer. If you have the third-party website, that's great. But again, think about how you're chipping away at it. One of my radio colleagues, he now has an audio series of digital downloads. And it's not podcasts. It's like a meditation kind of a thing. And he is selling them for $4 and something per download. And so when I was giving him advice earlier this spring when he was just getting started, he was like, well, I'm gonna hire somebody to do, the marketing and social media and kind of push the downloads and whatever. And I said, okay, great. And then he's got the payment processor. He's got the platform that's hosting it all, right? So they're going to want their cut from it. And so I said to him, you have to look at your product at this point. Your product is $4 a download. If you were to approach me and say, hey, JB, I want you to get on your social media and push this, and I'll say, okay, buddy, what are you going to pay me for it? Well, when your product is only $4, how embarrassing is that to go and say, I'll give you 43 cents a download? I'm going to go and say, fuck off with that. 43 cents a download? That's not even worth, I'm not even turning on my computer for 43 cents, buddy. Try again, right? Because when you look at it that way, right? And so we had many, many conversations. We had hours of conversations and discussion, and, I gave a lot of advice for free. I should point that out because he's a friend. He helped me get started in radio all these many years ago. And look at me now, right? But I kind of talked him through that, and I said, okay, well, you've got to bundle it then. You've got to have a higher price point. Tell the guy, whoever you're going to get, that if you sell maybe a subscription, maybe a 6-month download, and that's going to end up being, I don't even know, $40, let's say, then he's going to get 10% of that, or he's going to get, 20% of that. Because as a digital download, you don't have any costs per se in terms of like you would a physical book, a paperback that you're having to print and mail and whatever, right? A digital download is basically all profit once you've done all the work and you've uploaded them. You're not losing any money if you give a discount. So I said to him, just do that. Maybe you can get a 3-pack or a 4-pack download that somebody's going to now pay $15, $16, maybe $20 for at that point. Now you're going to give this guy $4 for every download that he gets, or every subscriber that he gets. But that was something that he didn't think of initially. And it's once you kind of make that bad decision, and it's a learning curve, right? It's just one of the things that you learn and grow, and you figure out the industry or the business. And so that's where there was a lot of talking through, because he came to me for advice on the project, and I wanted to go and say, oh, well, I've had digital downloads for books and things, so this is how it's done. As we're talking it through, I was kind of like, oh, wait, maybe I don't know everything like I thought I did initially. And even just through conversation, it was like, well, how about this? What about doing that? Why not do a bundling pack where you have things for mothers? Or you have things for people who want to deal with stress or vacation, or do something throughout the year. Maybe do a download where you've got how to deal with the holidays. And then when it comes to tax time, you can do one for, financial, keeping your sanity during a financial crisis, or paying your taxes, or just a parenting series when it comes to, dealing with the kids, or your kids are going to school and now you've got the house to yourself all day. How are you dealing with your time? Maybe now your kids are grown up and they've moved out. You've got that empty nest syndrome. Give me a meditation series on that. So, there's just so many ways to think about it where that's where that whole creativity comes into play. So those would be just some of the things that I would tell people in the creative aspect of things. Own what you do. Make sure that you keep the rights to it all. It's your work. You own it. You deserve it. And think about outsourcing and how it's not necessarily the best idea. Again, those examples of book publishing. Yeah, you're going to get an agent. But it just takes a bit of work. It takes some extra time. And so how did we get that book in the stores? And how did we get the book orders from Walmart? I went and did the media blitz. I was doing all of the morning shows. I was on every TV show, every radio station, and every newspaper in my city pushing a book that was not even out yet. I got people buzzing about it. And then I took it to the buyers of those companies and said, look, Winnipeg is talking about this book. You need it in your stores. You need to carry this. And sure enough, that's how it worked. Now, again, we didn't have a setup like a book publisher, and we didn't have a primetime spot on shelves, but the book was in the stores. And so that was such a gratifying feeling to be able to go to a Walmart store. Yes, I was on the bottom shelf by whatever. But what I would do, and this is where I'm going to give you another piece of advice here, is always make sure that you've got the best platform. Put yourself in the spotlight. Don't feel that, okay, I'm going to do a... Okay, now I'm going to probably get in trouble for messing with stores, but do you know what we did, honestly, truthfully? This is not an exaggeration, not a lie. I would go to the Walmart stores in the city, and I would go and move my book either to a higher position or I would put it on the end of the aisle. I would go and move it. Now, even though the Walmart store has their whole setup of where things are placed and it's all mapped out and it's all there, I would go and move it to a higher position or somewhere on the end so that people walking by the aisle would see it. And then at one point, and I'm totally throwing Walmart under the bus here because our first book order that we had from them, they didn't pay for the longest time, and so we ended up having to throw them under the bus and thrash them for that, as they were taking advantage of an entrepreneur and, then at one point the book was pulled from the shelves, and so people were emailing me going, I'm at Walmart, I don't even, where, your book isn't here, where is it? I said, yes, it's on a bottom shelf by such and such, and they're like, that book is there. So then I would go and say, well, maybe they're sold out. Then I would call the store though and ask, and they'd say, yeah, we've got 4, 5, 7 copies of it, and I'd say, but they're not on the shelves. Yes, they are. So I would literally go to the store with my camera phone, and I would walk down, I'd hit record, and I would walk down the aisle showing that my blue covered book, it has a very distinct cover, is not there. And I literally did that. And I would go and I would then email it to the buyers. Go, here's this store. It's not there. Here's this store. It's not there. Here's this store. Not there. A few days later, I went back. Sure as shit, it was put back. But it's kind of like, wait a second. Yeah, maybe I'm the little guy. Maybe I don't have the book deal. Maybe I'm not selling as many as J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or whatever it is. But you guys have bought this book already. So why would you hide it? Why would you not have it out on the shelves? At least put it in your clearance dump bin then and still sell it. And so, yeah, as an entrepreneur... I that's my one piece of advice. Well, not my one piece. I've given you lots of advice already. But I would say, own your project. Don't just be the writer. Take control of it. Take control of the marketing. Create that brand persona for yourself. And so don't just go and say, I'm going to write my book and that's it. Somebody else can take care of it. No, go to the store. Make sure it's there. Move it around, get it sold, because now when they sell out, they're going to come back and get more books from you. So that's really the way to do it. Don't just brush your hands and go, my book is in Walmart, that's it. That's not a guaranteed sale just because it's in Walmart. That's something that I learned very, very early on. And there were a lot of humbling experiences as well when I would do book signings. Because again, as an author, you think, oh, my book's going to sell. I had a little thing in the newspaper that says there's a book signing. No, it was humiliating. The first book signing, or one of the first book signings that I did. I had ordered, I think, 80 copies of it. They had it all stacked up and ready to go. And I was like, oh yeah, it was in the newspaper. I've told people I'm on, I'm on the radio. So people, well, I'm not on the radio in my hometown. So that was also my first problem. And it was humiliating. We sold, I think it was 6 or 8 copies of the book. Sorry, no, that's not true. Hold on, I've got to backtrack. We had 6 or 8 people come to the reading. They had rows and rows and rows of chairs, and it was 6 to 8 people that showed up. I think almost all of them already had the book because I'd sold it to them beforehand. And it was a humiliating experience. To look out there and go, wow, there's 2 cousins, 1 coworker, and and a couple friends that showed up. They all have the book, so they're not buying it here. And then you've got the people from the store going, wow, that was a bust. This guy is not as big as he thinks he is. And it was humiliating. And I went home. I hid out from the world for about 2 or 3 days. My cousin came and brought me onion dip and chips. She hung them on my doorknob because I wasn't answering the door. And yeah, so that was my kind of big rude awakening going, I'm an author, but I'm not as big as... one of those biggies. So there you go. We've got a Twitter shout out, and then we're going to wrap things up right after this on the Scribble.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
We are very, very, very out of time. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in again. My thanks to Brandy Mars for joining us. My email address, live@jbonair.com. Always awesome hearing from you, live@jbonair.com. This is The Scribble presented by buffboybrewing.com. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some